Well, good morning, everybody. What is going on? Madam Secretary's in, looking beautiful all the time. She said, I'll be driving and listening. Good morning, Connie. Angie, baby. Karma's in the house. True Crime Beat, what's up? What's up? Harley Davidson. For whatever reason, I could not read your email. Can you resend it? Good morning, Nicey. Woo! There's my cactus girl, Junebug. So we're coming up on a year of Sebastian being missing. And I believe that the show, the Q&A with Nick Beres yesterday. Now, excuse me, I'm going to have to mute myself a few times. I cleaned out a bunch of weeds and stuff yesterday because it was 74 degrees. And, well, it hit my sinuses. So if I mute myself, it's because I'm either coughing or sneezing. Drives me nuts. Good morning, Tamara. Sophia, look at this. And Jovi, you guys are already making it rain. What am I going to do with you girls? Get your umbrellas. All right. So today's show may or may not fit the narrative. I probably need to put a poll up because we're coming on a year of Sebastian's disappearance and we don't know anything. Nothing. We know a lot about Katie. We know a lot about Chris. We know a lot about Seth. We know a lot about Tony Mathis, about the Bauer Sox, Katie's upbringing. Oh my God, we know a lot about that. But about Sebastian's disappearance, no. No. But I thought what Nick Beres put out yesterday, because he does speak with law enforcement, was very telling. Let's take a second and tell everyone happy Taco Tuesday. Woo! Now, hold on. Tamara Brown, listening to the show and making vanilla extract using brandy as a base. It'll be ready about the midst of next year. Seriously? Wow. Now that's impressive. Dang. Poppy Red Mustang saying Taco Tuesday is going to be spaghetti. True Crime Beat. Oh, hell. No. Muscles and Mascara, what are you doing, girlfriend? She gifted 20 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Y'all, come on. Get your slickers, get your boots, get your umbrellas. It's flashing by so fast, I don't know who got one, but I can bet. Britt and Walking Dead didn't get one. I don't know what I'm going to do with you girls. All right, let's get to it. The mystery of what happened to Sebastian Rogers. This is from Channel 5 in Nashville. Again, I think what Nick has had to say makes more sense than the rest. It may not fit the narrative, may not fit our opinion, but I can tell you a secret right now. Can you all keep a secret? Anyone, can you keep a secret? My opinion does not have anything to do with the outcome of a case.
Sebastian Rogers would now be 16. It was 1 year ago he vanished from his Hendersonville home late Sunday night or early Monday morning. There was a massive search effort in the first several days after the teen with autism disappeared.
This is the system that we use to track all of our searchers.
In the 12 months since, Sumner County EMA Director Ken Widener has led searches from the ground and air. Divers went to ponds. Spelunkers explored sinkholes.
The white dots are caved and they've all been searched.
Whenever a new tip surfaces, Widener sends a crew to search. But he says those leads have slowed to a trickle. And the sad fact remains, to date, no trace.
Okay. The update is that the leads, the tips have slowed down to a trickle. Not happy about that. But you can't say they haven't searched.
Spelunkers explored sinkholes.
The white dots are caved and they've all been searched.
Whenever a new tip surfaces, Widener sends a crew to search. But he says those leads have slowed to a trickle. And the sad fact remains, to date, no trace of Sebastian has been found. As such, speculation runs wild from less than credible sources.
The rumor mill on social media has done nothing to advance this case.
Authorities have made it clear they'll provide an update when there is something new to report. But this one-year milestone might be a good time to clear some things up.
And that would be helpful. Clear some things up. And I'm probably in the minority with Sebastian's case because I'm one of those people that nothing with his family. I'm just going to say family. I know better than to point one or two people out. Is not impressive. But again, my opinion has nothing to do with the outcome. Selena, what a gorgeous picture. You look like Brooke Shields. No trace makes me think he's been lost at the construction site. Makes you wonder. I also want to know, at 15 years old, we're not talking about someone that can't fight back. I mean, he's a grown man. Did he fight back? How did they get him out of the house, if that's what happened?
This week, I did speak exclusively to Sumner County Sheriff Eric Craddock and District Attorney Ray Whitley about the case. Now, some are wondering whether or not this is now a criminal investigation. They tell me the answer to that is no. It is simply an investigation. Others.
Woo! Okay. So the DA and the sheriff say this is not a criminal investigation. We're just investigating. Okay, this came out. Facebook lit up like a firecracker. Like a firecracker. They're like, of course it's a criminal investigation. I'm like, but there's not an agency saying it is. So I don't know. Diva, DQK, said he fought back, hence scratches on a certain person's arm. When I look at those scratches, for one, I don't think they're from the dog. I think they're from Katie. Just my opinion. All right, so they're saying this is not a criminal investigation.
Whitley about the case. Now, some are wondering whether or not this is now a criminal investigation. They tell me the answer to that is no. It is simply an investigation. Others are asking the question still, is it possible that Sebastian's parents, his mother, stepfather, and biological father, may have had something to do with his disappearance? Again, the answer to that, no evidence of that, and that the parents have cooperated. Any evidence of foul play?
We have not cleared anyone, but we have absolutely no evidence to support foul play.
After a year missing, some wonder, is this now a cold case? The answer, no. It does remain very active. Sebastian's father, Seth, said this in the days after his son disappeared, and the same holds true today.
I'm hoping he's still alive. You know, that's my main hope right now, is that he's not deceased. I mean, I keep praying that he's alive. I keep praying that somebody's going to see him, that somebody's going to call 911.
Nick Beres, News Channel 5.
Not a criminal investigation. No evidence of foul play. So what the hell is going on? Either they're playing the word salad game with us and they're being extremely technical knowing the truth, or he seriously just went poof. There is always the suggestion that he could have just been like, screw you all, I'm out of here. There would have to be some digital footprint somewhere. A CCTV. And I'm not saying nationwide people know who Sebastian is. No, 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 no. A burner phone. Something. Seriously. All right. Also last night, they said new video emerges. It just seems like every time something emerges in Sebastian's case, like I have all this hope that something's going to crack, and it turns into a nothing burger.
We start with breaking news tonight. Newly released surveillance video in the search for Sebastian Rogers, taken the night he disappeared nearly 1 year ago. Let's bring up this video here in full so you can really see it. Take a look. This is from Kellen Lane in the Shackle Island neighborhood out in Sumner County. It's 1 block from where Sebastian disappeared from his family's home. The family's private investigator says cameras recorded at 12:17 a.m. That's the timestamp there. And as I mentioned earlier, this video is enhanced. It's still really, really hard to see. But
now, is this from SF Investigates? They said the family's private investigator. I don't know that Seth has one right now, but things change second to second in this case. Hey, Eve. Eve Gorley's here. All right, look at it again.
you can really see it. Take a look. This is from Kellen Lane in the Shackle Island neighborhood out in Sumner County. It's 1 block from where Sebastian disappeared from his family's home. The family's private investigator says cameras recorded at 12:17 a.m. That's the timestamp there. And as I mentioned earlier, this video is enhanced. It's still really, really hard to see. But in it, there is a figure walking up the block and then appearing to stop behind a black car. The figure then turns around and walks back the other way. We're going to play it on loop one more time so you can see it. The video has been given to investigators.
Okay, I'm going to look at this again. I'm not good with these things. Y'all saw me in the Kylie Rodney case. I sat there and I watched that car go around that curve 1,000,000 times and I still didn't see it just make the wrong turn and go in the lake.
It's 1 block from where Sebastian disappeared from his family's home. The family's private investigator says cameras recorded at 12:17 a.m. That's the timestamp there. And as I mentioned earlier, this video is enhanced. It's still really, really hard to see. But in it, there is a figure walking up the block and then appearing to stop behind a black car.
Okay, so are we assuming this is an abductor or this is Sebastian getting away? Selena said, I truly believe he sneaked out. It's definitely interesting. Now, I have a feeling we're going to get some talk from Sumner County, or whoever decides to come out and say something about it. Eventually they will, and they're going to say it's not anything. It has come out now that the flashlight video we've gone through 1,000,000 times is actually a couple who go to work super early each had lights because they were each taking out a trash can. K-Town NJ said, it's been debunked, Brooks. Damn, that fast? Nicey Marie said, yeah, it's a neighbor walking his dog. Oh, what the F? Son of a bitch.
The figure then turns around and walks back the other way. We're going to play it on loop one more time so you can see it. The video has been given to investigators, and you can see it for yourself at fox17.com. The Sumner County Sheriff's Office, TBI, and the FBI continue to search for the 15-year-old who has autism. A few sightings were reported shortly after he disappeared, but those tips went nowhere. Sebastian's mother and stepfather say he walked away from his home.
Again, this came out 12 hours ago. The evidence is saying he walked away from his home. Granny's watching. What's up, girl? Do you have on a baseball jersey? Cute as a bug's ear you are. Granny's watching said it was not a neighbor walking their dog. Oh, God. I don't know. Let's get to the Q&A. It makes more sense to me that it would be Sebastian getting away since law enforcement is saying he walked away from his home. Okay, now again, this is just Nick Beres doing a Q&A on Facebook. Mirror Camp, picking my brain, reading my mind. Mirror Camp. Mirror Camp said the question remains, why would he walk away? That's what I've been saying. If he truly walked away and he's been gone all this time, which he has been, what was he walking away from? Granny's watching said, I do. LOL, thanks. The neighbor walking a dog was a separate video, but the Ellies did say it's not relevant. Well, they seem to have that flashcard ready all the time. Kimberly Mann said that Nick Beres looks like an alien right now. Well, let's get to it. It's probably Kimberly Mann's birthday today, and I'm going to let her get some knowledge from E.T. himself of Nashville.
We're coming to you on a Monday night, and this is on the Sebastian Rogers case. We're doing this because this week is 1 year since the 15-year-old boy with autism disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So it's been 1 year, and I know so many people have followed this case from.
Hence why I very rarely go on camera, okay? All right? You all have seen me on camera before. Retro. KP has acted way too sus. For real. But I want to know, what's the difference between her and Chris going down to Mississippi to get away from the scene? Again, we're just having a conversation. And Seth, while the investigation is active and ongoing, going to hang out in Oklahoma. Or does it offend you more that Seth never came to see me? Hell, I live in Oklahoma. Come see me, Seth. I'm right here.
Frankly, all around the country. I mean, it's gone everywhere. A lot of people have been involved. So many of us care and think about this boy and want answers and want to know what the very latest is. Sebastian disappeared this week, but specifically it was Sunday night to Monday morning, and that would have been February 25th or February 26th. That is, the 26th will be this Wednesday. But I'm doing this now because it was coming off a weekend from a Sunday night to Monday morning when he disappeared overnight. Thought to have left barefoot and with a flashlight, and then was reported missing by his mother, who he was with that night at that home. And since then, not a trace. And so what I wanted to try.
Not a trace. DC Primetime. He said he was there for Christmas with Tony. Very nice. Tony lives right on the lake. But again, come see me, Seth. We have Christmas in Tulsa County too. You don't just have it out there by the lake. Come on, Seth.
Try to do here is just give you the latest of what I know about the case. There are a lot of rumors, a lot of scenarios out there on social media, which is fine because it keeps his name out there. But what I'm dealing with here is basically what I know to be factual, what I know, not my assumptions, not what I think, but more along the lines of what I've been told from those who are very close to the investigation. So who am I getting this information from that I'm going to be sharing with you the basics today? The information I'm getting from where I have had direct contact within just the past week, checking back in with them, is Eric Craddock, who is the sheriff of Sumner County, okay, who from the...
Okay, he's going through the resume of who he's talking to, and these are people that are directly involved in the case. Just me, said Brooks. Now he'll think you're flirting. Come see me, Seth. We had Christmas here too. You don't just have it by the lake.
Beginning is headed up this investigation there in Sumner County. He was not the sheriff at the time that this happened, but has since become the sheriff. He heads it up. So Eric Craddock, spoken with him directly. All right. Ken Widener, who's the director of Sumner County EMA. He's not so much as an investigator, but he's in charge of every time a tip comes in of going out and searching and tracking down to see if there's anything to it. They respond. They're the emergency crews that go out and respond to that. And then I've also talked and had close contact with the man who would be involved if this ever becomes criminal, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But that is the district attorney, Ray Whitley, who stated.
Okay, so he's saying that the DA stays up on the case. Now, speaking of cases, we followed the Megan Boswell trial. And it proved to me that the FBI in that area, the TBI, Sullivan County, know how to collect evidence, put a case together, bring it to a judge, and prove it to a jury. So I'm not worried about FBI Nashville or FBI Louisville, which one is working on Sebastian's case. I'm not worried about TBI. They are very, very competent agencies. I know nothing about Sumner County, except that their sheriff looks like Colin Farrell. And he really does. He does.
Stays very close contact with investigators, including, I'll mention who else I've been in contact with, some sources within the TBI who are involved in this case. But Ray Whitley is the district attorney. He meets and talks weekly with investigators, standing by, wants to know what's going on, what the latest is with all of that. That's where my information is coming from. Of course, I talked to some other people close to the case, people in the neighborhood, people like this who have been at candlelight vigils, the like. At one time or another, I've had contact with Sebastian's parents, but have not had any contact with them recently. They've certainly done a lot of interviews over the past year, not only on TV, but on social media. So you've heard from them as well. So that's where I'm coming from. And I know there may be some people out there that say, well, Nick, we just don't believe in law enforcement. We're not going to put our stake in law enforcement. Where's the FBI? Well, the FBI is involved to a degree that they are behind a $50,000 reward for Sebastian. I'm just looking for the latest on that. They're asking for tips to be sent to them, but also specifically to 1-800-TBI-FIND. But look, there are people that say, well, we don't have faith in law enforcement to continue this investigation. They haven't broken it after a year. Look, if you've followed missing children cases in the past, and I've covered sadly enough of them, these are not easy cases to solve. And I've followed many.
Ooh, Nick looks angry there. That's not an O face. That's an angry face. Good morning, Gia twins. And I agree with Meerkamp. Katie hadn't said shit. We've heard from Chrissy Poo, and Seth. I haven't really heard anything from Katie. She made a ridiculous statement when Nancy Grace said, "What the hell are you doing out of town? What are you doing in Mississippi?" Because he could be anywhere. And I'm like, oh, come on. No. Go ahead and say, I just want to get out of town. Law enforcement's working on it. Didn't want to be in the house. Want to sit here in the RV with Chris. I don't know. I would respect that more than because he could be anywhere. Jenny, send me an email, girl. I'll get you into Discord. Absolutely.
Investigations in my career. And frankly, there have been some over the years that I felt they kind of dropped the ball on this. They haven't done everything they could do. As far as I can tell, and no one's telling me to do this, I have no stake in this except I want Sebastian found safe and sound. As far as I can tell, law enforcement from the very beginning with the search and everything else did this textbook and used every resource that they possibly could, and they continue to do so. So if there's people out there say, well, I want to go with these, I think Dog the Bounty Hunter and others are involved. Hey, good for them. I'm glad they're involved. They're not here. They haven't been on this from the very beginning. They haven't seen all that's been done. I think the more people involved, the better.
Me too. And Dog the Bounty Hunter has been taking videos of him dancing in his house. I saw something on Facebook. I believe everything I see on Facebook that said he's taking off until the spring. Okay.
But I'm not here to slam anyone. And I'm certainly not here to say, well, I don't buy law enforcement. I'm just going to go along with some guy says on social media. It's not the way to do it. And I think that's born out of frustration that we're all feeling right now, and we wish it could be solved. Let me tell you this. No one is more frustrated and disturbed by the situation with Sebastian, aside from his family, of course, than law enforcement.
Okay. I'm going to go back to that in a second because it's important. But I want to let you guys know I pinned the StreamYard link. You do not have to have your camera on. No, no, no. So grab the link and come up because I want to hear all of your theories. All of them. We really don't have anything to go off of except for law enforcement saying basically any video produced is nothing and that he just walked away.
They desperately want this solved. And I can tell you right now, District Attorney Ray Whitley would love it if this case turned criminal and that there was a suspect brought before them. He would be ready to prosecute and go after them immediately. But that gets to this other point about some of the things that I wanted to hit on that is new. And then I'm going to look at your comments and try to answer what I can. Okay. But look, I've talked to them. This is not a criminal investigation. Okay. And a lot of you are going to say, well, the $50,000 reward from the FBI and it's not a criminal investigation. Let me just explain what that means. And I've talked with not only the DA, but the police chief, or rather the sheriff, this past week and asked them specifically. Again, people are wondering, is this a criminal investigation now? And they say, no, Nick, what this is an investigation. We're looking into it and looking for any possibility. That does not mean we're ruling out a criminal investigation. But at this point, there is no evidence to indicate something criminal. So we are not.
No evidence to indicate anything criminal. We have my girl backstage, Retro. Y'all give a big round of applause to Retro. She wants to come up and give her theory. Do not be shy. I don't bite, and OJ's not on camera. What up, Retro?
I wonder if they're playing semantics.
Great word. That's a word that usually my friend Susan uses. That's how
I stole it from her. Apologies, Susan.
you stole it from Susan. Okay.
Well, it's what I was thinking, but she was more she put it a lot better than I would have.
It's a great word. I try to use it as much as possible, but I use it in the wrong phrasing. Okay, so what do you think happened? Because I don't expect law enforcement to come out and say they all have thoughts, they have suspicions, they have theories. I don't expect them to come out and say, well, it's kind of looking this way. They're saying that they can't find anything to prove anything criminal happened. So what do you think happened?
Well, I am open on what I think happened. And I don't want to lodge accusations, but I just don't. I think I look at the Bauer socks pockets and
Mhm.
think that might be in play when they're really careful to say this is not a criminal investigation.
Right.
Um,
I just don't know. I mean, what is the theory about the Bauer Sox, who seem to really not pay attention to Sebastian at all? What would be behind them wanting Sebastian gone?
no, I'm thinking about whether if CP or KP were involved, they
Mhm.
would want to. They would be willing to help out if with the pressure on law enforcement to okay, there we go. That's all I really have to say on that. Nothing more to say on that.
Nope. I see what you're saying. I do. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not going to become a criminal investigation. I called myself and I was told over the phone, no, it's not a criminal investigation. Call 800 TBI fine. Hold on. Castle, what's going on? Castle, Nick B is lying. Well, then he should lose his job. Seriously, then he should lose his job. He is not in contact with LE. It is a criminal investigation. They told me it's not, and I called myself. Amber alerts are criminal. It depends on the state. Okay? In Oklahoma, an Amber alert would be criminal. In Tennessee, Iowa, there's another state. An Amber alert could be a higher alert of endangered. As far as FBI offering a reward for a runaway, they've done it before, but it's been for like very wealthy, affluent people, like Patty Hearst, stuff like that.
I agree with some of what she said. They don't have to tell us.
No, gosh, no, we don't expect them to. It's nice when they do.
Yeah, it's nice for sure.
To me, it just smells foul as AF.
That's exactly what I think.
I don't know a nice way.
That's exactly why it's driving me nuts. This is not a criminal investigation. It just does not look good. How could neither one of his parents working with law enforcement be able to, and then him having special needs and being as controlled, it sounds like, as he was in the Proudfoot home, how could they not be able to get enough information from uh, Chris from the Proudfoots and Seth combined to be able to track him down
They should
if
know him
he
better.
run away
You're the one that brought that up to
in
me.
all the searches?
I'm like, they should know him better than anyone. Y'all don't be attacking Castle. A lot of people agreed with Castle. Castle said, I don't tell the host to check. I said to everyone. I'm the one that said if Nick Beres lied, he needs to lose his job. That's not good journalism. That's fake news. I like Brooks. I like you too, Castle. It's the chat that are attacking. Who the hell? I'll figure this out right now. Retro, who do you think's attacking?
I can't. Let's see. I could probably. I quit looking at chat because I can only. I'm not coordinated enough to be able to chat and talk on panel at the same time.
I got
I
you.
fall flat on my face.
Oh, it's Sarah. Sarah asked her if she needed Snickers. Damn. Tam here said Castle, I stand. A lot of people agreed with Castle. Okay, so back to our conversation. For one, I don't think Nick Beres lied, and if he did, he needs to lose his job. Okay? I've followed him through other cases in Tennessee, and he's always been, very transparent with the information he's been given. So for him to say it's not a criminal investigation and like a dummy, like I said, I called myself and they were like, no, it is not. So it was probably like the 300th phone call they had that day. Hold on, Rosebud. Patty Hearst did not run away. I understand that she was abducted, Stockholm Syndrome, all that. I'm saying in the beginning, the assumption was that she ran away. The rest of it wasn't known until much later. The whole assumption was she ran away. Sorry, Retro.
No, that's okay. I actually have. If I have something along the lines of an accident theory on this case.
A lot of people do.
And I would include somebody snapping as an accident.
Well, I keep going back to the Peter Hyatt theory because I cannot get that out of my mind. And the overbearing stepfather. And he's easy not to like. Okay. And I'm not just saying because of the gut and the mullet. Okay.
No.
He just seems to have this, I don't know. They say he's an alpha male. He's an alpha male. Okay. Well, I mean, my husband will whip your ass, but he still takes naps with our cat. So, come on. Alpha male, do not pick on kids.
I think he's a bully.
Yes.
Being an alpha male and a bully are not one and the same.
And while I'm not really a fan of any of the parents, I could see Chris rubbing a lot of things in Seth's face and bullying him. Look at me. I've got the big house. I've got the girl you've been after forever. Your son lives with me.
Oh, I'm sure. I would bet he said all those things. If I had to bet, I'd say he seems like exactly the kind of guy who would say that. From listening to the way he talks to people on panel, absolutely.
Sparrow said he reminds me of Bluto from Popeye. Yeah. And again, guys, this is a very touchy subject. That's the reason I stay away from it, because too many people get upset. I am basically going through the information that was given to us in the last 14, 15 hours. We all have our own opinions. I know some people are like crazy obsessed, thinking that KP is just a great mama. Katie Proudpuss. Some people are like, no, Seth's the only one that's searching. He's the best. And a few people don't really want to talk about Chris. They skate around that.
Well, Peter Hyatt and some other folks affiliated with the Cold Case Foundation all seem to be in the same cluster of thought as to the Proudfoots No More.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at was it Katie? When did Katie say he could be anywhere? The way I'm not going to say it the way you said it, but he could be anywhere.
He could be anywhere. She sounded like she was exhausted, like she was freshly fucked in the RV. She goes, because he could be anywhere. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, when you have a mother saying, the mother of a missing child saying that? Can any of us imagine Brandy saying that?
Just say I got out of town. I need to clear my mind. I got a lot of stuff going on. I've got someone at the house if he shows up. Don't worry, I got a house sitter. It's also easy to say it's not your damn business. Law enforcement could have told him, get the hell out of town. They've done it before. But you could be anywhere. Goodness. All right, let's get back to Nick Beres. You ought to hear me in retro on the phone. We can keep it going for like 2 hours and we don't even know what we called about. It's hilarious.
Calling it a criminal investigation. And you're like, well, how else could a 15-year-old just suddenly vanish? He had to be abducted. Potentially, sure. I hear what people are saying about that. 15-year-olds like this just don't vanish, do they? But there can be other explanations. And in the absence of any physical evidence, any eyewitnesses, any video that really shows him being grabbed or abducted or something bad happening, they're just calling it an investigation. It is not a criminal investigation. There are no suspects.
Okay, Rosebud said, I would like you to tell me where it was ever said in FBI records. I don't have FBI records. I don't have access to them. So I can't tell you about FBI records. That Patty Hearst was considered a runaway at any point. I have never read that. Send me an email and I'll send you a link to this Lifetime movie. I cannot remember. It's some chick from Growing Pains that plays Patty Hearst. It was a really good movie. And she was considered a runaway. And I think we can all admit Lifetime puts great movies together. Okay?
From the very beginning, yes, the first suspect, whenever something like this comes down, are those closest to the person who's missing. And that would be the parents. Oh, you bet. I've said this time and again. They have vetted his mother, stepfather, and biological father. They had checked and double-checked their stories. They have interviewed them. The family has cooperated. They haven't lawyered up and clammed up and not cooperated with police from the very beginning. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, his mom, she was the one there. She had to be. Really? Give us the proof. Where is it? Okay? I mean, you can go ahead and guess or whatever. There's no proof. To this point, there's no evidence whatsoever that anyone close to him had any involvement in what happened to him. So what else could have happened?
That's the question. Law enforcement is telling Nick Beres, Tarhell calls him the Timu Jerry Springer. Don't know where the hell she got that, but I'm going to continue to use it because that was great. There's nothing to say Katie, Chris, the Bowersox, Seth, or anyone close to Sebastian did anything to him. Okay, nothing right now, but will something come out later? If they said the tips are trickling away, that's not a good sign.
What Peter Hyatt said weighs heavily with me too.
Me,
It really does.
and I've gone through it so many times, people are probably bored with it, but that makes the most sense to me. The over-punishment in the home. And I don't know if anyone heard my conversation with, I'm not going to say his name, the neighbor. It was no secret that Chris is a bully.
Peter Hyatt did another video, I think, where he talked about CP. I think he called it the language of abuse. I think is what he called it.
Uh-huh. Yep, I did. I have watched a lot of his stuff. What he said about Summer Wells was very intriguing, and it just hit all the buttons because it made so much sense. And if Nick made all this up, law enforcement is going to have to come out and say, we never talked to that fool. This is a criminal investigation.
He could have wandered off on his own. He could have fallen into some crevice that they haven't searched, which I find hard to believe. And he has not been found and got hurt. maybe somehow ended up somewhere where he was in a dumpster for some reason and got carted away, even though they have searched a landfill. I don't know. I'm as at loss as anyone else. So in the absence of all else, do you think there's a possibility he was grabbed or abducted? Absolutely. And law enforcement will acknowledge that is a distinct possibility. But they say at this point, there is no evidence of that. They don't see anything. Trust me, if there was some inconsistency or some evidence or something that pointed to any one of Sebastian's family members, they'd nail him and hope that they could break and crack him, and then Ray Whitley would prosecute. Now, I'm not saying that evidence might not surface as this continues, but as we speak here right now, there is no evidence of that. And
Okay, let's be fair here and talk about, what Nick just said. If it's the family, I'll say Katie, Chris, Seth. I believe Seth was at work. And I believe Seth's private investigators that said Chris was outside of Memphis. I don't know why those private investigators, because there was 2 of them that said that to him. How they know, I don't know. That leaves Katie.
And there's also a long phone conversation that night between Chris and Katie, I believe.
Yep. I've always thought those scratches on Chris's arm were from her. Because, these are like fingernail scratches. Not like stubby fingernails like a man has. They're certainly not a dog. I blew them up one day, solving crimes like I do. And I'm like, no, those are like fingernail scratches, like a woman's fingernails. That's what it looked like to me. And if Nick made all this up, Sumner County, FBI, and TBI need to come out and set the record straight. And I checked again today, the TBI frequently asked questions about Sebastian and nothing changed.
if you're tuning in here hoping to hear some new revelation, the sad fact is here we are a year later, okay, and still talking to all of those who are close to this case. They are no further along in terms of any new leads. In fact, I'm told now the tips and the calls that had been coming in on 1-800-TBI-FIND.
Okay, we're just going to listen to the information and assume that this conversation between him and people involved with Michael's case happened. Not Michael. Shit, what an idiot I am. Sebastian's case happened. Oh, I got to edit that. And let's just not concentrate so much on Nick Beres. The next person that bitches about Nick Beres is going to get a Nick Beres blow-up doll in the mail. And you have to take a picture of yourself with it. Okay? Let's just roll the tape.
Have really pretty much slowed to a trickle. There just hasn't been much. I mean, the story is still out there. Of course, with time it fades, but it hasn't faded for law enforcement. I asked, is this now after a year considered a cold case, which means it's kind of on the back burner. It's not going to be solved. If something comes up, fine, but we're moving on. And they said, no, this remains an active case. We talk about it every week. We look at the possibility of any reports along the lines. All of that, okay, is something that they continue. So it is not a cold case and it remains active. There's reward money out there. Have there been more searches? Some people said, well, they were going to wait for the change of seasons and go out here. I know that there have been private searches conducted. I know family members have been involved in searches. I know Ken Widener has had crews out in response to certain things. I know there have been photographs sent from around the country. I had some photos sent to me today from someone who saw a person that looked like Sebastian in Salt Lake City. I think it was probably a few weeks ago that I was someplace, I'm trying to remember where it was, and I saw someone that resembled him. And you know, I just walked right up and stared at him. All right. I mean,
Okay, that would creep me the F out. Looks like Tar Hell is not giving up on Nick Beres. She is going to get the Nick Beres blow-up doll with an entire jug of Crisco. All right? Tar Hell, you're going to love this.
I didn't just, oh, that might be him. I'm going to call it in. If I see someone that looks like Sebastian, I'm going up and checking. I've seen enough photos that I can tell up close if it's him or not. And I went up there. He may have thought I was a little weird. What are you looking at? But I went up there to look at him and just kind of glance. And I realized, no, that's not him. But I checked it out. Almost all of these photos, a lot of people say, well, I thought I saw someone, or there was a report in Seattle or the airport in Salt Lake City and whatever. They do their best to track those down. You know, there have been some photos from around the region here during the past year that showed someone that looked like him. They vetted that out and found out it was not him. So it remains just a confounding mystery. I'm trying to think where else to go with all of this. It's just heartbreaking to me. You know, I try to think of other cases. Summer Wells, of course, comes to mind. That's the tragic case out of East Tennessee. And that little girl has never been found. A lot of people thought maybe her parents were involved, but law enforcement never found a link to that. And she remains missing. She was, I think, only 5 years old.
Nick, don't be bringing Summer Wells into this. There's a huge difference between a 5-year-old little malnourished girl going missing and a 15-year-old boy. Now, this is where, as our friend Susan said, semantics come in. Because he's saying law enforcement hasn't found anything that Summer's parents did anything to her. Well, we know deals were made. The 3 boys stayed with the state. It is a criminal investigation because foul play hasn't been ruled out. So let's not, if you want to toss a salad, you better go to jail for that stuff around here. Right, Retro?
So his Summer Wells case been called a criminal investigation by law enforcement?
100%, because they said they cannot rule out foul play.
Okay.
So to compare the two makes my thermometer go to 250.
The thing is, with this case, has law enforcement said, playing semantics again with this case, has law enforcement said specifically with Sebastian Rogers that foul play has been ruled out?
No, they have not said that.
Okay, that
is important.
makes me wonder.
No, thank you.
That to me would be important.
But Summer and Sebastian, I get that Nick is basically reading the chat and doing a Q&A. But still, I would have dismissed that question altogether and been like, you can't compare the two. No.
Another one, Joe Clyde Daniels. He disappeared. And again, after the fact, his father, under questioning, confessed to killing the boy. And there was a trial, and he was convicted, and he's serving life in prison. But had the father never confessed, had he not broken, that case would never likely be solved because Joe Clyde's remains still have never been found. People disappear. We can go back years. Janet March, remember that case from the 90s? Her husband, Perry March, is serving life in prison for killing her. But it took a while to get him, but her body has never been found. So a lot of people who say, well, law enforcement's not doing a good job, they're not doing enough. I mean, there is a lot of pressure on them. But finding this when they do everything, sometimes things are like this. The Holly Bobo case. Holly Bobo disappeared for a long time. They had these suspects. Law enforcement looked everywhere. And finally,
Holly Bobo, she's an adult woman. But it was ruled a criminal investigation from the beginning. Summer Wells has been a criminal investigation for a very long time. Why is Sebastian not? What am I missing? Someone help me. And yes, it took them a long time to find Holly Bobo. And also, they brought up Joe Clyde Daniels. It was criminal from the bat. They got the dad to crack. Look at that, retro. I'm rhyming.
Have they said that the Sebastian Rogers case is not a criminal investigation?
That's
Was that
what,
what he just said? Was that what he just said? This is not a criminal investigation?
not a criminal investigation.
Okay.
Now, listen, he is a newscaster, reporter there in the Nashville area. The channel he works for regurgitated this information on their newscast last night when they said it's not a criminal investigation.
Okay, that is very okay. So the other three cases that you mentioned have been called criminal investigations by law enforcement from day one, pretty much.
I don't know about day one, but I would just say right off the bat in Oklahoma terms.
I am still going with going along Peter Hyatt's line of thinking. Something happened that day.
I'm not getting away from Peter Hyatt's theory. Not because I
I
need
just
him
can't.
to do my thinking for me, but it just makes the most sense when he's talking about, the step parent situation. And by the way, not all step parents are bad. Shout out to my steppies in here because you all are doing a very hard job. And I won't get away from Chris McDonough talking about Summer Wells saying, don't leave the hill.
It was several years later that her remains were found by a ginseng hunter in the woods. That's what it took. They had searched every place else as best they could. So these types of things happen where they can't find anything. The one thing that gets me here is that there's just no sign. It's as though he vanished into thin air. The dogs were out there. People are going to ask, were dogs used? Yes, dogs were used very early on. Drones were used early on. They've checked the ponds. They've checked caves. They've gone a large distance around the area. You would have thought, a scent that would have continued. But Ken Widener said a lot of people early on thought, well, the dogs hit on a scent and it died and ended at a pond, which, by the way, they searched. And he goes, that really wasn't true.
Okay, we'll go back to that. Peach State Mama, what's up, girl? She said Holly Bobo's case was very different than Sebastian's. In my opinion, not comparable. Exactly. Thank you. Summer Wells, not comparable. Joe Clyde Daniels, not comparable. Janet March, certainly not comparable. At all.
We didn't know about that. What other evidence was there? There was some evidence that I had from early on. I got it about the same time law enforcement did, you may recall, of what appeared to be some lights outside the family home in the middle of that night. It looked like lights moving, but you really couldn't make anything out. I had the story. It's out there. Many of you have probably seen it. Not long after I ran that story, law enforcement eventually had it too and analyzed it and then came back and said there's nothing of evidentiary value in that video. To this day, I still don't know or have a good explanation for what those lights were, but they're telling me unless something new developments right now, they don't think that has anything to do with why Sebastian disappeared. I still have my questions about it, but I take them at their word. Last week, a video surfaced by a private investigator. A couple of local media outlets, I think, ran with it. I don't know if they ran with it before they talked to law enforcement, but law enforcement said they had had that video since 72 hours after the boy disappeared. They had already vetted it. The district attorney told me straight up, Nick, there is nothing to this. It is of no evidentiary value. It is not a big break in the case like someone reporting. Yeah, and even if it was something significant that they thought, you can't make anything out from that video. You're not making out a face. You can't tell who it is. So there's been some videos out there that haven't guided us anywhere. That's the other thing. This neighborhood, very dark without a lot of lights. Not too many cameras captured anything. So the circumstances to this day, my heart goes out to the families, the mother, the stepfather, the biological father, all care deeply about this boy along with everyone else. And we so much want it solved. But here's the sad fact. The longer a child is missing, the less likely that child is found. Law enforcement right now, a year later, say, we cannot tell you whether or not Sebastian is alive or dead. It's heartbreaking. But where is he? Was he abducted? Was this child slavery or something like that? Why would they target a 15-year-old with autism? so many things just don't really add up. So every time I think I'm on a theory that might make sense, I think it through and say, no, that's not, and I just am at a loss. And I can tell you there are certain things about this case that law enforcement feels they cannot talk about publicly still. And they're not going to discuss some of their theories that they can't prove, but they have theories, trust me. And they try to find evidence matching the theories.
Now, hold on. V. Oakley said, so I wonder if the creators who received an email from the lead detective saying it is a criminal investigation are faking that email. Those emails need to go to Channel 5 in Nashville then and say, where did this come from?
There's nothing. There's nothing. And that's the frustrating thing. I'm not saying, I mean, this is a year later, and I think on this grim milestone, it's worth doing this Facebook Live to try to, and I'll see your comments here in a moment. I'll scroll through and try to answer, but there's not much more than when I did a update 2 months ago, or when I did an update 6 months ago. There's just nothing, nothing new to report. And it's not that they aren't working it. It's an active case. And so that's what I had for you. And I wish I had more to share with you. I know so many people are following this story and have strong emotions and feelings about it. And I'm with you. And if some of you are angry or you don't understand or you don't agree with me, that's okay, because what we're talking about, and I think regardless if there's disagreements, we all are coming from the same place. And that is hoping and praying that somehow Sebastian is found alive somehow and can be returned to his family. That's my goal. I have no, for people who say, well, Nick, you're just going along with law enforcement. Oh, Nick, you don't follow. I have no dog in this fight.
Okay, going back to the Peter Hyatt theory. Have you all ever heard about the case of Harley Dilly? Retro?
No, I have not. I'm curious to hear about it, though.
He, I'll just say got away from home, because some people don't like when I say ran away from home. And he went to hide out, and he got into a chimney. And it took a little while to find him, but they did. And it was horrible.
Oh, I'm sure.
Okay, horrible. Then we have the case of little Scotty Morris. I have a whole playlist on Scotty Morris if you want to check it out. He had, some issues at home. His mom made him wear this t-shirt, shaming him. Well, he ran away from home. And he was found in an abandoned house.
How much later and did he
Yeah,
survive?
exactly. Yeah, we're talking, with Sebastian, it's been almost a year. Harley, someone can refresh my memory. I want to say a couple weeks. Scotty Morris was about a week. So
And
that's
neither of them survived?
Scotty did, not
Oh,
Harley.
he did, okay. And how old was Harley Dilly?
They're all about the same age as Sebastian.
Oh, okay. That for a child to go into a chimney and hide in a chimney, the situation would imagine the situation he was running from would have been horrible.
Yeah, the jury's out on that one. But normally, like we did the show about the girl in Oklahoma City, and she was found a couple weeks later. So that's what I think is the most troubling about Sebastian is, well, it's been, we're on a year. And I stand corrected. Grateful 1111 said it was nearly a month missing for Harley. Thank you. I wasn't sure of the timeline. That's the reason I just had to give kind of a generic couple of weeks. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I want to read about that case a lot, very much so.
Well, we can do a show about it if you want, about Harley.
Yes, would love to. Absolutely would love for you to do a show on that.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. I just wrote it down.
And when I've listened to CP on panels, the way he talks to people and just the way he can just breathe down a person's neck just electronically on a panel on social media makes me just, I can't even imagine the amount of pressure and coercion he could exert between on his own family, even though he's in Memphis, in the Memphis area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Freaks me out.
Yes.
No one tells me what to report. Okay. I go ask the questions. I get that from different sources and I report it at what I believe to be credible. The only thing I care about, I'm not looking for clicks on my Facebook page. I'm not looking, I get paid by the station to do my news stories every day. My sole goal is to try to keep the story out there to some degree, try to answer your questions, and hopefully help in some way solve this case with Sebastian. That's it. I have no other dog in this fight. So I'm going to go with what I believe is factual and most credible. And I've tuned out a lot of the noise that's on social media because some of it, frankly, started getting pretty darn ugly. People attacking each other and saying, oh, that doesn't help. And I've talked to law enforcement who said throughout all of this, the social media has done absolutely nothing to help this case, and in fact has muddied the waters because it's just so out there. But again, in the vacuum of no information on what happened to him, I can understand in this day and age with social media how things explode. And I'm on social media here myself right now. But I'm going to stick to the facts as best I can and try to answer the questions that you may have. And I'll do the best I can. You may not like my answers or you may not agree with what I say, and that's fine. I think that's the case you're feeling as sad and frustrated about this as I am. I'm just trying to be as fair and as impartial as possible. So I'm going to.
Interesting. Castle said Chris admitted, I did hear about one time that he swatted Sebastian with a belt. Again, I believe everything I read on Facebook in the groups. And a woman that lives in the Hendersonville area said that she actually went to the local CPS office and asked them if that is illegal. And they said, no, if it doesn't make a mark, they don't get involved in how kids are punished. Now, this was on Facebook. I did not go to the CPS office. Just like Don and Candace were not punished for what has been reported over and over about how they treated their children. What do you think, Retro?
Well, I was having a separate thought from that. Well, what I've been thinking in the last minute or two is, could he have been? You talked about, did he ever? You've said, did he even make it home from Texas Roadhouse? And I'm now asking myself, could have he been dropped off? If he could have he been dropped off um, several hours or a couple hours away from Texas Roadhouse somewhere that
Well,
night.
that's we had a woman in chat one day. We were talking about Sebastian, and she said that, how do we know that Katie didn't tell him on the way home, just get out and walk? They were fighting. He obviously was not in a good mood walking in. He had his ears plugged. Like, I don't want to hear your mouth. They didn't seem to be really engaging at the restaurant. So it's definitely a viable theory. Just kick your shoes off, because I know you don't like to have grass around your feet and you can just walk home. She gets home, she gets a glass of wine, she talks to Chris. This is, of course, is just, imagining, okay? For 3 hours, goes to bed, says she hears a thud, whatever that is, goes to wake up Sebastian, and he's not there. I don't know.
What
It is
is the
a theory.
distance between Texas Roadhouse and their home, and has that entire radius been searched?
My understanding is everything's been searched. I mean, if you look at that map that they have up on Channel 5 Nashville, And they show all the search locations. I mean, there's a lot, especially around
I'm wondering that's why I'm still just mulling it over in my mind. What if the drop off had been farther, quite a bit farther from their home than Texas Roadhouse was?
Well, I would think they have gone through her car because she drives that baby blue, Acura? Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, it's got
Not her
all,
mother vehicle.
yeah, it's got all the bells and whistles, all of
Okay,
them.
so it would have all of the tracking for everywhere she was.
Yeah.
Okay, well that answers my question there. Okay.
I'm going to scroll back down through this and look at many of your questions and comments and see what we got here. Why is it all of a sudden not a criminal investigation? It's not all of a sudden not a criminal investigation. I guess maybe Elizabeth had heard that people maybe had said, well, yeah, it's criminal, or they heard investigation, they took it as criminal. It has never been a criminal investigation. It's not been ruled out. That they're not saying there's no criminal activity here. What they're saying is right now it's just a general investigation. Maybe he wandered off on his own. Maybe he was abducted. We don't know. If we decide that we have evidence that he was abducted, it'll become a criminal investigation.
Okay. They're looking for evidence. Kimberly Mann, what time does it get dark in Tennessee? During, I would say February, when Sebastian went missing. They're like a state away from me. So, I would say like around 7:30.
Another question I have: why was the landfill searched so early on?
Yeah, exactly. No criminal investigation, but you get a warrant to go search exactly a landfill. Unless that's just a precautionary measure that they do when a child is missing. Again,
that could be that's information we don't have, obviously.
yeah, that's the only thing I can think of, because the first thing I thought was, oh boy, they're getting ready to do something. But they weren't there long enough to actually search a landfill. Because we've seen landfills being searched. Look at Quentin Simon.
Oh yeah.
Tyvek suits, respirators, those rakes that look like combs. Oh yeah, they were definitely searching. So that's why I'm wondering, is it a precautionary measure? Precautionary measure, because in so many cases with a missing child, one of the first things people ask, well, besides water, is, well, did they search the landfill? So this is a really good question. I'm glad you brought it up. So, if they went out there for a few hours, which is not a landfill search, was it precautionary, or did they believe that he could be out there?
That's what it is. It hasn't changed, but it is not criminal. And what I mean by that is there is no evidence that something criminal happened here. You may suspect that, but unless there's blood, instance, an eyewitness, then there's no evidence. You can have the theory, but it doesn't make it real. You have to prove it. So it's not all of a sudden. It never has been a criminal investigation, ever. Let's see. Why don't you tell them directly what the Sumner County Sheriff? I did. I don't know what I've left out. What else did the sheriff tell me? That's basically when I talked with him, what he told me. It's not a criminal investigation. We don't have suspects. It is not a cold case. We are continuing to work it as an active investigation. And the number of tips have dwindled significantly. That's basically what I'm not keeping it.
Never has been a criminal investigation. Doesn't mean that can't change. And the tips are dwindling. Here we go, Lisa A. She said they haven't done a thorough search of Old Hickory Lake or the Cumberland. Both are too big, and in my opinion, if they were being searched, a lot of bodies would be found. Thank you, Lisa A. What do you think about that, Retro?
That's what I'm wondering. Where, how much do they know about where KP's car? I would imagine they've done they've done a thorough. If her car has all that electronics on it, they've done the entire download of where her car was that day. But how extensively have the possibilities around where her car was that day been searched? And are some of them in really desolate areas?
I would hope that if we think of it, they've already done it, but you just never know. Because, I mean, I know nothing about this sheriff's department, and they're the lead investigators on this case. And they are saying to Nick Beres, I mean, and they're putting it on their news station that this is not a criminal investigation, never has been.
Anything from you. Now, he may be keeping something from me in the investigation. I'm sure there's certain things the TBI doesn't want to share, perhaps, but I'm telling you what they tell me. That's all. I'm not keeping anything from you. Let's see what else. So why did it change? A lot of people think it changed, and maybe at one point some were reporting it as being criminal. I think at one point I raised that question quite often, saying, "Is this criminal? Is this criminal?" And at some point there were some that seemed to indicate that it could become that. But all I'm saying is if that's the case, what they're making very clear now is that it is not criminal because there's no evidence that something criminal took place. There can be other reasons why Sebastian's missing besides a criminal act. But if they find evidence of it, they'll immediately call it that. And I said the district attorney's ready to prosecute the moment they go that way. So who's lying? I mean, why does someone have to say, oh, someone's lying? No one's lying. No one is lying. You think there's some mass cover-up because they don't want Sebastian found? Get a clue. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here?
Oh my gosh, where is Tar Heel? Is she still in here? He just said, get a clue. Get a clue. My clue is, like I said, I go back to the Peter Hyatt theory. You don't have to agree with me, but I think no evidence is evidence when it comes to a child.
Exactly. I agree 100% there.
I mean, I'm 49 years old. If I want to put my crusty ass in the truck and take off, well, really not much to worry about because I'm a grown adult. If I want to stay hidden, I'll stay hidden for whatever reason. Just want to take OJ on a drive. I don't know. But when it's a minor child, that's why I hate when they say run away. Run away. That child is probably more endangered than a kid that got lost in the woods. I guarantee. Guarantee. DC Primetime said check the landfill again, in my unpopular opinion. I'm telling you right now.
Here. I have a pic of an email. And he's saying, in fact, it is, look, whatever. Believe what you want to believe, okay? If you want to believe it's a criminal investigation, it changes nothing, okay? There's no suspects. There's no evidence. So believe it. If you believe it's criminal investigation, then that feeds the narrative that, yes, clearly someone had to take Sebastian because he wouldn't disappear on his own, which, frankly, I'm inclined to agree with you. It's unlikely that he just disappeared on his own. Someone else had a hand in this. But there's no evidence of it. Without evidence, you can't call it criminal, okay? I mean, that's just it. So call it what it is. And maybe at one point an investigator said, yeah, we're looking at it as a criminal. But I'm just telling you, I talked to the district attorney. I talked to the sheriff. I talked to Ken Widener. And I talked to my sources with the TBI. And they said, hey, at this point, it is an investigation. It is not a criminal investigation because we don't have evidence of a crime other than a boy missing. And a boy can go missing for a number of reasons that aren't criminal. I mean, that's just it. I mean, I don't think that's that hard to understand. So call it what you want. You want to believe it's criminal? I don't care. Fine. Let's wait and see if they charge someone or make an arrest. I mean, whatever. Believe what you want to believe. I don't, they're saying Brandon Carter says it's a criminal. That's fine. Believe Brandon.
Woo! Nick Beres. He's throwing down. Oh my goodness. He's getting mad. Fine. If you want to believe it's a criminal investigation, you can believe it. You really think they're covering anything up? Whatever. You know how horny Tar Hell is right now? Retro.
I can't see chat.
My goodness. He's mad. He said, fine. Believe Brandon. This is where I would stomp off. I would really make an exit. But hey, he's not me.
Ask Brandon where the evidence is that proves it's criminal. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. You know.
Shut up, Brandon.
You know, if there's times
Nick said, shut the fuck up, Brandon.
where back in early on, there may have been some that said, yeah, right now we're looking at this becoming a criminal investigation. I may have reported that because I was told we're looking at it maybe becoming a criminal investigation. We think it's going to become a criminal investigation. And there may have been some who did say it was. I'm not saying you're wrong for hearing that, but all I can say is where we stand now. Perhaps there were leads they thought were going to lead to criminal investigation. They have not come through. And so that's what I'm being told. Right now, it is an investigation. It could turn criminal, but right now, I don't know what the big deal is. As long as they're investigating it, wherever it goes, but I think everyone's like, well, it's criminal. That means there's someone out there. Well, believe that. I think, do I believe someone had a hand in him? This is my belief, in him disappearing as opposed to him just vanishing on his own? I think the odds are probably, yeah. But I need proof of that. And without proof of it, it's a theory and not proof that it's criminal. Yeah, a lot of people say that the law enforcement screwed up the investigation since day one. Really? How? Were you there? I was there. I was out there. How did they screw it up? Tell me how law enforcement screwed this up from day one. Please, someone explain.
Quit pissing Nick off. Quit pissing Nick off.
Everyone's saying, so they lied to us. I guess, why would they lie? I mean,
poor Nick. He's used to getting in front of a camera and they edit it and then somebody else reads the comments, but he threw himself into the lion's den like we do every day. But he's getting pissed. You know the boner Tar Heel has right now? He's doing a lot of sipping. He's pissed. If that's what you think, I'm loving this. I wouldn't get away with this for a second.
You know, what about the flashlights? I told you, they told me that the flashlights don't seem to have any evidentiary value at this point. And that's what I reported. I have to go with what they tell me unless something else comes. Finally, someone quoted the correct reward amount. It is $50,000. I heard that there was some other reward money out there beyond that, but I've learned to be very, very cautious with reward money. A lot of people throw out, oh, I'm going to pay this reward. The reward will get this big. And when the case is solved, sometimes the money that's really actually paid out to the person.
I agree 1,000% with this. Look at the case of Summer Wells. Her reward fund was dissolved. Look at that crazy chick in Florence, Alabama, Vicky White, that got her lover Casey out. The guy that found him, Car Wash James, never got a dime of that FBI money. FBI put up a reward for Breasia Terrell. Guess what? Nobody got it because they already had their dude. New. So I agree with Nick 100%. I don't care about the damn reward money.
Person who helped solve the case, if there was one, oftentimes isn't as much as what they said originally, or it's hard to collect. Now, the FBI is offering 50 grand. If the FBI is offering it, you solve the case, you're going to get that money. And so it is $50,000 from the FBI. But I know some of the other monies out there, I can't vouch for it, but I've heard it's at minimum 50,000. Let's see. Yeah, this one woman says, I have a friend from high school that has been missing for almost 28 years. It's like she vanished into thin air. A lot of people wondering, a lot of people saying, Nick, you told us it was. If I told you early on that it was a if I told you early on it was a criminal investigation, it may have been in connection with the fact that early on, Amber Alert remains in effect for Sebastian. It doesn't necessarily mean that a child was abducted or is someone who's a victim of a crime, but it does mean that child is determined to be in imminent danger. A lot of things can go toward that. I think most of them apply to someone being taken. But all I'm saying, whatever was said before, okay, based on what some may have told us or what some of the implications were, I am telling you now that it is not criminal, that it could turn criminal. Hear me still out there. There we go. Why are we in a slow connection? Yeah, so I'm just trying to establish that, but I don't want to spend too much. Let's just assume, if you want, those of you who believe it's a criminal investigation and that we were told it was and that that's what they said, fine. Let's just assume it is. Okay, if it's criminal investigation and it's been criminal for all this time, they must have a suspect in mind. Why has no one been arrested? Where is the evidence that makes it criminal? That's all I'm saying. If you want to believe it's criminal, fine. Believe that. Doesn't change a thing. He's still missing and they haven't made an arrest. So let's just go ahead and say it was criminal. I'm telling you right now, law enforcement say it is not. They may have thought it was going that direction, but they're saying nothing's developed on that front. So if I said it because someone told me that after the Amber Alert early on, I can't remember. I've done so many stories. I'm just telling you what they've told me now. But believe what you want to believe. Believe it's criminal. That's fine. It changes nothing. Whether it's criminal or not, it doesn't tell you who the suspects are. It doesn't tell you any of that. I wonder how dogs couldn't pick up his scent when the mom said he left barefoot. That's a great question. That's one of those quandaries. I don't get it. You're right. You know, and that other part about, you know, the boy leaving barefoot, why would he have gone out barefoot with a flashlight? I remember his father, Seth, telling me that when he was a young boy, he had wandered outside barefoot once. And
I'm going to get to Boy Mama. Oh, look at that. Sophia gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Maybe Boy Mama will get hers back. Boy Mama said, who effing cares? He's missing. He's missing. Why do you have to label it? Criminal or not, it's still being investigated. Is that not good news?
I agree. Keep investigating it.
Yeah, whatever you want to label it. I don't care. You're saying it's a active investigation, but the leads are not trickling in anymore.
made his way over to a fire anthill and really got lit up. And he never forgot that. And so Seth said ever since then, he always wore shoes or something on his feet when he went outside. But this night, he went out in his pajamas, barefoot with a flashlight, is what the report was, I guess, from the mother. So what would lead you to do that? I'm thinking, okay, if he leaves his house in the middle of the night, I'm guessing he heard something and wanted to go check on it. Was someone outside his window? Did he hear something? Did he grab the flashlight and go out quickly thinking, I'm just going to check on it and I'll come back in? Otherwise, he would have taken time to put his shoes on. It's a great question, you know, because he wouldn't typically go outside without shoes, but he went out really quickly. See what else we got. So many people are upset that whether I told them it was a criminal investigation at some point, or they misinterpreted what I meant, or maybe I did at one point early on. All I'm telling you is, as we stand here now, and since I've last checked in with all law enforcement, they say it is not criminal investigation.
I would just be like, shut up. Because I reported it a year ago or mentioned it doesn't mean that's not what they're saying today. What do you think, Retro?
I can't. I'm trying to think. Should we call it not a criminal investigation? A lot of unusual behavior from the parent who was last seen with him, last known to be with him.
I see where you're going. Go ahead.
That's the end of my thought. It's not a criminal investigation. There's just a lot of very unusual behavior from the last parent who was seen with him.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a history of abuse involving his stepfather,
Yep.
who was out of town, but certainly probably not out of communication with the stepmother
Yep.
or with the mother.
Yep. They both say they were on the phone for like 3 hours.
Yeah, a lot of phone communication, history of abuse from at the very least the stepfather, with the mother allowing it,
Peter
and a lot of unusual behavior from the mother.
Peter Hyatt said that 3 hour conversation is a lot of what happened to Sebastian.
I
Burial and his
tend
parents
to
can, deal with
have
that.
same
Closure.
thoughts for me.
I'm sorry about the buffering. Everyone wants Eric Craddock to speak. They'd be picketing the office. What do you want him to tell you? He's not going to tell you anything different than what I just told you. You know, I mean, that's what he's going to tell you. I want him busy working the case, not having press conferences every day. Yeah, and again, someone's saying, do you have a theory? I mean, I don't. I mean, I have several theories that have gone through my mind. I want to be impartial. All I've said today is that I believe that there's a real possibility that this wasn't Sebastian disappearing just on his own. Now, who or how and why this was involved? Did he leave willingly? Was he abducted? I don't know. Because I'm of the belief with a lot of other people that you just don't vanish without a complete trace at any moment. I'm of the belief that perhaps somehow, not long after he left that house, he ended up in a car driven away, or the dogs would have picked up his scent somewhere else walking. If he was just out there walking around the neighborhood, they would have picked it up. So that's kind of what I think. Nick, you said it was criminal. Again, I'm not going to deal with that anymore. If at some point I said I was criminal, that it was something early on that may have been said that in connection with the Amber Alert, or they thought it might become criminal. Okay. All I know is it's changed. If that's the case, everyone I talked to this week said it is not criminal at this point. It is an investigation.
Okay, still beating that drum. Discovering the truth, how are you? Said, in my opinion, he could have called Katie, left his phone at his camper, and drove home so his phone would still ping at the camper. That is a theory, for sure. The only problem I find with that theory is unless he was just sitting in one position and never moved, they would know. If you remember the Gannon Stout case, and other cases, like right now, my cell phone is next to me. I'm in one of the bedrooms. If I pick it up and walk into the living room, into the kitchen, back to the bathroom, whatever, to the garage, it's going to track all that. So if his phone was just sitting right there on the bed, I would think that they would find that sus. What do you think?
Also, what about his how recent does a vehicle have to be in order to have all this tracking capability? And what sort of
Mine's a 2010 and it's got it.
Okay, how old was the vehicle that Chris was driving?
Oh, he drives new shit.
So, if he would have left his phone there, it seems like his vehicle still could have been tracked.
I would think. I mean, between the vehicle itself and all the different cameras, on the highway, traffic lights and things like that, I would think.
That doesn't mean they're not looking for evidence of crime. They're looking for it. They just haven't found it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, a lot of people say, I don't know, do I have no clue, or are they saying it to someone else? Because it wouldn't be the first time I have no clue. I think the LA will probably send out, I think the TBI and law enforcement will probably send out some kind of statement, maybe have a newser this Wednesday. That would be my guess. I don't know that. I'm just guessing they might. And that'd be great, because that would satisfy some of you that just want to hear from them. It is an Amber Alert. You're correct. Yeah, let's see. An Amber Alert doesn't necessarily mean, just remember, an Amber Alert, if you look at the definition of it, it means abduction can be part of it, but it also means it's the belief that a child is in imminent danger of injury or death, something along those lines. And I'd say most of the time Amber Alerts do, but they don't always. There's no evidence that he did not walk out of the house. Okay. I don't know. Everyone's, you can tell the people that are mad, get out of here. You're a liar. Let's see. I would love the evidence. Look, everyone that wants to be criminal, I would love it. I want that to be the case. I mean, I want evidence to show up. The detective said it's a criminal case for some post last night. So I'm not saying anyone's lying. You know, maybe someone said it, okay? But all I know is the people who are at the very top say it's an investigation. They haven't ruled out the possibility of a criminal act. But until they have some evidence to indicate it's a criminal act, they're just going to call it an investigation. But that's all, you know.
Well, and that's the smart thing to do. We're just going to call it an investigation. We haven't found anything criminal. But either way, like Boy Mama said, either way, he's missing. Call it whatever you want.
I have another question here.
Go ahead.
In the event that he was helped to disappear by a non-family adult that he'd had contact with somewhere, internet, school, something, what would be the chances of that slipping under the radar? It actually seems unlikely to me. Quite personally, I don't tend to think that's what happened. But how often has something like that happened and completely slipped under the radar in a missing child case, where the child's been lured online or by adult they've had contact with somewhere outside of home?
You know, what I have noticed in those cases is that they actually get solved really quick.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking that myself.
With the digital evidence, not going to name any names, but I mean, there's a boy that was on Snapchat and he met with someone else he thought was a boy, and it was full ass grown man, and they found him at a gas station in Nebraska. Then there's another girl that was on, I want to say Snapchat again, don't quote me. She was in Arizona as well, talking to someone, you know, who she thought was cute boy at school, that type of thing, and goes to sneak out again, full grown ass man, and they found her in a basement. Then there's the girl outside of Dallas that was on the Discord app for, I think it's called Minecraft, talking to someone who she thought was a boy, and they found her in a shed in North Carolina. So that's gone through my mind too. How can they not find this?
And then we have the case of the girl from, was it called Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, who I think she's still missing.
Mm-hmm.
But
That's another
everybody
one.
knows who she's with.
Insane.
So the outside of family adult possibility, it sounds like, has been pretty much ruled out.
I mean, as far as we know, I mean, I really wish they would just do a Q&A and say, yep, did this, search that, look through that, not telling anyone the results, just saying an arrest hasn't been made and we've gone through all of it. You know?
I'm almost looking at what I'm thinking now is, what are we left with? Almost. What are we left with? What are we left with? Can we really, since it doesn't seem likely for an outside of family adult to be involved in this particular case, and how likely is it that Sebastian wandered away on foot and all of the searches that they've done have missed where he wandered to. That would be something that's left, and what else is left? And the last thing that's left is family. Are we left, or is there anything else?
Well, and if what, Seth was saying that Katie was allowing Sebastian to FaceTime with, I'll say predators, that's a problem. And if what we're told is true, Seth was at work, verified. Chris was in Memphis, somewhere around there, verified. It's only Katie there. And she was with Sebastian all weekend. We've seen all those pictures and everything. So she's got to know more than came home, trash, dogs, talked to Chris, thud, and he's gone.
So criminal investigation or not, I'm just not set that Katie doesn't know more.
She's got to. She's got to. Well, you all, this has been an amazing show. I still cannot believe that it's been almost a year since Sebastian went missing. It's absolutely insane. And not to have, without Nick Beres, we really wouldn't have any updates, if you want to know the truth. Unless Seth goes somewhere and says something. I personally don't want to hear Chris's mouth. He just grosses me out. I can almost smell his breath through the TV.
Yeah, there's a lot of intensity from Chris, that's for sure.
For sure. Well, let's have another round of applause for Retro, who grabbed the link and came up to share her theory. Y'all don't be shy. Try it anytime. And this is always important to remember. Castle said, Brooks, it takes time for the wheels of justice, but they are turning. Yep, we say it all the time around here. Justice doesn't go in the microwave. It goes in a crock pot. All right. Well, this crock pot is out. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for being here today. I didn't think I was going to do a show. I woke up so sick. All that dust and everything I was cleaning outside. Oh, goodness. But I made it, and you all made it too, and you made my day. You guys are the best. Thank you for being here.